Good morning, everybody. How you guys doing? I got chatters in the Discord with me right now. Let me just, you guys can go ahead and keep chatting. You ain't bothering me. Let me scroll up and say hello and run through the list. Can you guys hear me? No, you cannot hear me. I think you can. Yeah. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm assuming you guys can hear me. Loud and clear. Okay. I remember I was on my other mic last night. Okay, so... No, I was on my phone last night. So this... right on. Anyway, good morning, Ben Toombs. How you doing, brother? Trail Dust. Robert Lonis. J-Bo's in the house. We got Shane Lalonde popped in. Trail Dust. Robert at Proverbs. Good morning, Eric. Good morning. That's conversation, making fun of me. All right. Ignis Metalworks. Good morning. And Old School's in the house. Drayson's Forge pops in. Chris Schaefer, how you doing, brother? Sam Stapleton. Bortagov. Bobby. Bryson Alden. Greetings. Henry St. Street Forge. Dwayne Aubuchon. Robert Whitney, how you doing? Good morning. I'm caught up. I'll try and keep up. James Jones, how you doing? Neil Graham, what is up with you, brother? Now, I will switch over now, or soon. What's up, Mr. Corey? Your chat froze. Actually, I should remember that and put the live chat up. Okay. Yeah, so I have the Blacksmith Church Brainfurt voice chat active, and I will switch over and add all of that. Now that switches to this one. Give me hello, other camera. And over here you can see the people's list. This is where you can, if you would like, to post pictures and let everybody see ya. Getting your head on straight, slept right through the alarm this morning. Whew, loved your board. I'm thinking I'm going to have to try and do some bowls, but don't have a switch block. Okay, love your bowls. I'm going to have to try and do some bowls, but I don't have a swage block yet. I will say this, Roy has a good video for some alternate swedge block ideas. Good morning, Cheryl. How you doing? Thanks, Henry. Because I'm special. Thanks. This one looks and sounds much better. That must mean the... I'm on a different mic then. I gotta check all my settings. Okay. I want to do an audio check with the Blacksmiths Church. Make sure you can hear them as well. Because there's Chris Schaefer sending a picture of the split. I'll let him pop in and tell us what that is. Morning, Donut. Morning, J-Bo. Chris Schaefer has his microphone muted. There he is.
There.
Tell us what we're looking at.
I had a 100 layered Damascus billet, hammer billet I was working on, and everything looked stuck together. Went to hot cut it, and it split 50 and 50. So I have two halves of an octagon.
Right. Yeah, I hate it when that happens. Yeah.
So I think I'm going to put a piece of 1090, clean it up, put a piece of 1095 between them, and re-smush it.
I will say, something I always forget when I'm working Damascus, and it does, it's like I always, anytime I fold, I think I'm going to put another layer in there, and I always forget to. Especially if you have the option to let it cool and clean it up, toss another layer or two in there. Just why not, You were talking about some big bearings. I work at some 10-inch and 12-inch bearings. If you would, I would love some of those, man. That'd be awesome, Sam. Let me know. Let me know what the shipping is, and I will definitely hook you up.
James and Rob.
Rob Huff, good morning. James Jones popped in. J-Bo. James.
No, sorry.
No, he's saying hi to. This is James.
Okay, there we go. I'm getting lost.
Yeah.
I thought he was saying good morning to himself. I'm like, okay, cool.
But absolutely, any chance you get to toss more layers and some Damascus, do it. And in with the win, we've got a video from Christ-Centered Ironworks from the Black Collar Army, showing you in the chat a link to the video for a stump swedge block. And if you all check that out after the show, if you need to, Sam, that should help you out big time. But I will say, it's kind of a good. I'm stretching with the segue. Stretch the segue. Big shop tools, needs versus wants. Things like power hammers, presses, big band saws, and lathes. We were talking lathes last week. You know, all that stuff. Oxyacetylene. I say big shop tools doesn't necessarily mean, you know, large machinery, although that's kind of the point. But, you know, the big buys and the big stuff in a shop. And talking needs versus wants. I will put my opinion and then let others chime in their opinions. And I'll read some opinions from the chat. I personally believe that any tool is exactly that. Yes, it is, you know, you would love to have, you know, a big old press, you know, 50-ton press to, you know, squeeze and squish anything and everything. You know, a power hammer to just rock that metal and make it, you know, go crazy. And a power hammer is very useful because it's, you know, it takes a lot of strain off your arm, you know, but you can't do everything with big power tools. Some things you have to do by hand. But as far as needs versus wants, if you're just doing it as a hobby, you know, in your garage, and you're kind of just playing around for the fun of it, you know, I would make that a later shop goal. Good morning, John Burnell, and good morning, Jim Patterson. Happy Sunday. Black Collar is throwing up a bunch of CCI links. This last one really goes into the topic. But yeah, it's if you're doing, if your aim is to go into like full production mode, to find something that you can make and just slam through them to say fill a table or fill an Etsy page, and it helps you get it done faster. Weigh the pros and cons, because once you buy it, that's overhead. You know, that's, say you spend $4,000 on a press or power hammer or whatever. That's money that you have spent that you need to gain back. If you buy it and then don't use it, or buy it and it doesn't help you with anything that you sell, then it's not really making, it's just a toy then, you know.
Yeah, you always got to plan for the ROI, return on investment.
Yes, Stress Master in the house. How you doing, Bill?
Doing good.
Yeah, the return on investment. Now that is to say, if you're going into it with a business point of view. If you're going into it with a hobby point of view, and it's something that you just want for your hobby, they're fun tools to play with. Morning, John, and absolutely, you know, if you can get one, but don't mortgage your house for a tool that's not going to make you any money. Michael Robertson, how you doing? And yeah,
John Brunel joined us.
Yeah, John Brunel.
And Ethan.
On my previous day job, I had access to a power hammer, loved it. Now, later on the timeline, I need to save wear and tear on what is worn and torn. Absolutely, Trail Dust. Hey, Ethan, good morning. Yeah, and that's
Well, yep. If you plan on doing Damascus, I would say get a press instead of a power hammer, if that's going to be your main kind of switch.
Yeah, if your main goal is Damascus, a press really goes a long way with Damascus. However, I will say, with a power hammer, you can set. It's relatively easy to set billets by hand once you get used to the process, and then the power hammer allows you to draw them out nicely, and then go back to the anvil and apply that hand-made quality to it, and really that power hammer just becomes a tool for quickening the process of drawing the billet out or squaring a billet up, which all can be done by hand. A press just makes all of that streamlined. Ben Strickland, top of the morning to you. Adios, Drayson. With
Hello,
a
Jeremiah.
with a small electric welder, you can make a lot of tools and jigs. Yes, you can. Yep, an electric welder is, in my opinion, extremely necessary in a shop. Either an electric welder or an oxyacetylene or both. Morning, Jeremiah Johnson.
If you're afraid of the oxyacetylene, because acetylene is quite explosive, there you can get a propylene oxy set and use an oxyacetylene tips. It won't get quite as hot, but it will do 98% of anything you want it to do.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, oxypropane. There's very portable fire. Rob brings up a good point. You can have a lot of fun on a 20-foot boat that costs $25K. You can also buy one hell of a hammer or press for that kind of scratch and have a different kind of fun. Exactly. And with that, you can have a lot of fun on a 16-foot John boat that costs you, $500 at a yard sale. So you don't necessarily need to have the biggest, baddest, best big tooling, worn and torn sounds like Yama's. Oh, you shut up, Ben.
Balls.
Hey, Billy. I'm doing good, guys. Need to get a rosebud tip. I've got a rosebud tip. I personally am not a fan of them anymore. They suck too much gas up for my flavor.
The only thing I use my rosebud tip for is when we have to do any kind of brazing or silver soldering. It's
Right.
really good for that preheat.
Yeah, I suppose. I haven't done much brazing yet, so I haven't had the experience to say one way or the other on that. Best part of oxypropane is you can fill the propane tank virtually anywhere. I would not mind getting an oxypropane setup, but I do have oxyacetylene. If you use a dual
It's
tip on
definitely
your...
a lot cheaper.
Yeah, definitely a lot cheaper. I mean, I think last time I filled up my, I looked at the receipt for my fill-ups. It was like $170.
Yeah. So what's the difference between the two? So what
Well,
makes
there's
it?
three types.
Yeah.
There's three types. There's propane, there's propylene, and then there's acetylene. And going from the propane up to the acetylene, they each have a different burn rate, how much BTUs they can release at any given moment. And acetylene is the strongest, propane is the least, and propylene is a good happy medium.
Yeah.
But the thing with acetylene, it is explosive to where once you get it, it stays in the shop. You don't take it around with you.
I have heard that there's an actual chemical difference between acetylene and propylene and such, to where it's not a point of the heat, but there are things that acetylene can do because of the type of chemicals it uses that propane cannot do because of the type of chemical it is.
And I also know that on an acetylene
Morning,
tank, they
Curtis.
have like a sponge
Billy
mesh type
Martin.
situation inside the tank. So you can't fill the tank up as much as you can with like propylene or propane.
The reason they have that sponge is because of its volatileness. You know. Yeah. Good morning, Curtis. How you doing, man? And Bill Corey, absolutely right. There's nothing more stress relieving than swinging a hammer at an anvil. All right, trying to keep up with the chat too. Broke away, but yeah, and using the example of acetylene, propylene, propane, you know, right tool for the right job, you know, too. It's like, you know, and you assess your cost versus what you can do with it. Goes right into any other big shop tool. An oxyacetylene versus plasma cutter, and then jumping up to like a CNC plasma cut table. What is your goal? Everybody would love to have all the tools, but what is your end goal? You know.
Welcome to party.
Hey, Sulbert, how you doing? From somebody
Angles.
who works with propylene and propane, been working in the shop for 15 years. Propylene is about the same as propane, and propane is so much cheaper. So
Propylene is about on BTU wise is about a third hotter. It's really hard. Like if you're gonna braise anything, to braise it properly and get really good penetration with just propane.
right. Here's what I love about acetylene, and this comes from Robert Lonis. Oxyacetylene to cut a hardy hole in a striking block through 2.5 inch. It worked so good. I've used my oxyacetylene axe to slice through a railroad track. I love oxyacetylene. Just saying. Just checking to help the YTAI for Yamez. Thank you, Curtis.
Davos, good morning.
Morning, Davis. But yeah, so I don't want to spend all the topic time on the chemical differences and the BTU differences between the three tank heaters. I mean, that itself could be a topic in and of itself, you know, alone. It's fuel types: oxyacetylene, propane forges, diesel forges, wood fire forges, charcoal forges, coke forges. Then they're going into coal anthracite versus bituminous versus palm kernels versus corn. Fuel itself is a whole. Maybe next week, guys. There's a lot of science behind the fuels, and it all goes just like the tools. What purpose you're aiming for, you know. Yes, diesel and used oil, recycled oil forges, they exist.
And they will get a lot hotter.
And they do. I've seen them used, and they are insanely hot.
I think that's what most of foundries actually use. You know, home foundries and whatnot that are melting steel, is they use either diesel or oil.
Yeah, I believe their oil burners is the main, because oil, you know, they'll just throw in some recycled oil, throw a filter through it, and see, it literally is a 2-hour topic of its own, and that's just how this. Okay, you guys, let's do this. Would we rather? Hey, Wilkins, would we rather talk fuels and such, and different forges and fuel types today, and save shop tools needs versus wants tomorrow, or for next week, because we could talk all of it all day. Either one. I mean, I bring up the power tool trail. Just he's like, I just want to talk about bacon,
Okay.
only bacon, and nothing but bacon.
Man, can you stop talking about bacon before I've eaten?
Right? Send food. I don't have any food here. All I've got is rice and some old pork. Let's talk about my hairline. Shut up, Ben. But yeah. So diesel force. Yeah. Somebody. We'll switch topics to that because we got Stressmaster here and being and Shamrock Forge, Sulbert. He is also I think he's actually secretly works for Elon Musk as a rocket scientist. That is my official stance on who Sulbert Jetpack Sullivan is.
Brilliant.
Is he is officially an Elon Musk rocket scientist type. And we've got Stress, who is very intelligent. And so I think we'll take this opportunity to discuss fuel types. Yeah. Topic switch. So everybody clams up now. So we're Sully the Ninja. So yeah,
how's it going this morning?
it's going pretty good. It's supposed to storm all day, but it's sunny, so I have the windows open.
Outer Banks weather. Can't beat
Yeah,
it.
Outer Banks weather. Morning, Brett. But yeah, there's a reason we call them jetpacks. So, so back to the tools, wants versus needs. I can't please anybody.
Well, I think the wants and needs is an important subject, so it should have its own time.
Yes. Let me put the invite link up. Because Big Dog, yes, we are on Discord as well. I saw you in. Seemed like you were having trouble with your mic there, buddy. You know what though? Here's the thing, guys. I have the unique ability to talk several topics at once. So bring it on, guys. Try to confuse Yamez. Let's talk tools. Let's talk fuels. We'll do the same thing next week. I'm looking at the wrong camera.
Okay, no,
Go
let's
away.
go.
Yeah, there's always a lot to talk about, especially when you have either fuel or tool.
Right? Good morning, Tim. Always a pleasure to have you here. Fool types.
Well, we've got our classic Yamas. We have our miniature Ben.
Yep, Yep, that's my fuel. Preferred fuel is coal. Bituminous coal. Bituminous. Everybody makes fun of the way I say it.
Bituminous.
I'm not burning bacon. That's crazy. But as for a fuel being a tool, here's this interesting little segue, or not segue, but mishmash. Fuel as a tool.
Well, Yamas, what would you consider the most easily accessible solid fuel that people can find, like in the different parts of the United States?
Wood.
Because that's one of the biggest questions I seem to
Wood.
get asked a lot.
With
Besides wood, because there's a lot of people that can't do the wood part. I'm talking for like coal or coke forge or whatever. I know up in the Midwest where I'm at, I can go like Tractor Supply Plus and get peat coal
Yeah,
by the bag.
that's
bags.
anthracite coal, and for example, my Tractor Supply doesn't carry it. Never has. When I asked them about it, they said that Tractor Supply does not carry coal. I said, crazy, edited. That's not what I actually said to the guy. That I know for a fact people buy Tractor Supply coal. It's on their website, and they said, well, we've never heard of it. Okay.
Yeah, I had
That's
the same
different.
problem with my local one. And, if you actually give them the SKU number from the website, they're like, oh, because in local systems.
You're breaking up there, Stress. But honestly, flat out, you asked what solid fuel is available to everybody in the U.S. I mean, unless you don't have bonfires, and campfires and stuff, wood. I mean, you could make a charcoal retort and turn it into charcoal, or you could, like when I first started, I literally was cutting up chunks of 2x4 and random wood in my yard, and using that directly as a fuel, and it got.
I was gonna say deer corn.
Corn. If you can get feed corn and burn that.
Yeah, like corn cob kind of stuff. I have a question. Have you ever tried turning the corn into like a coal? Putting it into like a coal maker or burner barrel?
I personally have never used corn as a fuel. Which is insane because I live next to a cornfield.
Corn will coke up actually, and it does so quite well and very efficiently, and fairly quick too. It smells a bit funky though, like burnt popcorn. You kind of what you would expect.
Yeah. I will say, if you look up Heretic Blacksmith, and you guys know I pump his journey as much as I can. He uses palm kernels, which I think would be very similar to corn, and he does, Bill, sort of do a turn it into charcoal first. He chars it first before putting it into. He doesn't just burn it raw. He takes and he basically turns it into charcoal, which Heretic. Yeah, Isaac. You're turned off. What are you making noise for?
Yeah. See, and the reason I thought of corn just off the wall one time was, it occurred to me that I know some people that use corn in lieu of wood pellets in a pellet stove, and it's a fairly even exchange. I mean, BTU wise versus cost, and so I was like, well, shoot, I wonder if I can forage with that busted bag of feed corn I found on the side of the road. Yeah, it works.
Yeah. Now, for the record, somebody said inconsistent heat. Now, the question isn't what's best, okay? The question isn't what's best or what is your best case scenario. The question is what is available, essentially worldwide, essentially, to everybody, and the answer is raw wood, which then leads to charcoal. Second best.
How big do you think the wood would have to be to charcoalize it properly, just so that people would know that?
You'd have Heretic, not Heretic.
Yeah.
It is Heretic Blacksmith? I thought it was Heretic Blacksmith.
Nope, it's Heretic.
Okay.
I just haven't been correcting you.
My bad. Isaac. Okay. Thanks, Rob.
Ceramic. Oh, that's interesting, Boar.
Ceramic beads in a combination with gas. All right. But yeah, go ahead, Stress. You were saying? was saying.
I think he was saying what
Oh,
size
what
of
size? The question is what size?
Yeah, it's what size do you want when you're just about to put it in the burn barrel before you close it? What is the ideal size before you actually would get too big for it to be any useful?
I've heard a couple inch chunks. You know, um, I don't think you lose much physical mass or physical shape um, when going from charcoal. So you kind of, you know, charcoal chunk size. Um,
Yeah, I think Trent and Ty said he was going to do a video on making charcoal
yeah,
coming up.
yeah. I've never
So
actually made it, so I've never actually seen it made, so I'm unsure. Hey, Wayne.
Hey.
Raw wood is available everywhere, but I always had to burn it to charcoal first to get a consistent heat from it. Robert at Proverbs said 2x2 chunks work well for him. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. But yeah, I think your main, the main point of questioning isn't so much so you have a final what it ends up as, but because if it's too big, you'll have a core that didn't char, you know. So, yeah, like chunks, cut it down to, like he said, 2x2. I wouldn't go much less than 2x2. I would think. But I don't need to do a charcoal retort. I don't have enough wood around me personally that is accessible to me to justify building a charcoal retort. I mean, I got 1 or 2 trees in my yard that I'm going to cut down eventually, but I'll use the wood for fencing or something.
yeah, if it's the charcoal's a little bit too big, you can always put it in your vise as long as you put a towel right over the gears, not the gears, but the sprue. You can use it as a crushing mechanism
For what now?
for the charcoal if it's too big.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember over at the coffee grounds last year when we were doing the bloom, we had to crush up the charcoal, and all we did was took a big sledgehammer and just.
how about soybeans? Anybody ever tried soybeans?
I never have.
That's pretty ubiquitous around
I
the
have
world.
tried. I've tried soybeans. It's kind of like burning the corn pellets.
Yeah, I'd assume any dry bean, legume, or similar would be, just like palm kernels, just like corn. I'm sure any dried bean would probably work along the same way. Remove dead trees and brush so I have an occasional bonfire, and then rummage through the remains. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so basically what we're saying, guys, is fuel is literally everywhere. If it burns, it can be used, you know. And then you go into the question of, is it putting off enough BTUs to be efficient? Is it consistent enough? I mean, there's a reason, the technological step up happened as different fuel sources were, utilized and discovered and stuff.
Well, I think with the soybean and whatnot, it's not just the BTUs, but it also has to do with clinkers and whatnot. How
Right,
much waste you end up with.
right. I'm sure if we really tried hard enough, we could burn some metal blueberries. Huh? Hey, Bloobs, how you doing? No. But yeah, it's cost versus results. Bottom line, just like Trail Dust said, I got 24 likes over here. Yeah, you don't need to smoosh the like button. Don't transition that. But yeah, it's just like with everything. It's cost assessment. You know, it's like firstly, it's what is available to you. You choose the best fuel that is available to you. Okay, and with that, you have to look into, like, say, you know, used recycled oil or diesel or whatever is more accessible to you than anything else, and then you have to look into building said apparatus to burn and utilize that. Simplest forge in its basis.
Yeah, the building the apparatus of any of those is probably the most expensive part of any forge build.
Except for a basic coal forge or solid forge. You know, dig a hole, put a tweer, put an air source, and you got a forge. You know, I said that I made a video on that, and people were, you can't be saying that online because some people can't do that because they'll ignite underground gases. Okay. Some peat ball thing. You know, I'd be very confused. Eat the beans and harvest the gas. Bill Corey. Let's see. Smoosh it. Cost efficiency doesn't mean monetary labor, or doesn't just mean monetary labor is cost as well. Yes. Chat is just on fire today. Bought a ton of bituminous, and it left me with a lot of fine dust. And my fines go right into the fire. If I have any laid over, like I think, who was it? Bloobs. Yes, you can use the coal dust as a lubricant in aiding punching holes. Davis said that as well. All right. Mike is cutting out a little here. Mine? Or Chris's? Huh.
Yours is cutting out a little bit to me. I don't know if that's true for everybody else.
How's my audio coming in, guys? It might also be that the window's open and traffic is picking up. But,
it sounds good to me.
All right. And a propane forge is all well and good. You know, there's always that discussion between propane and solid fuel. However, I mainly use coal. I have a propane setup. There are times where a propane forge is more necessary. Like, for example, earlier this week I was cranking out the split crosses, and I found that my forge, my propane forge, accommodated the split crosses opened up. So it's like, whereas they don't, for example, my forge doesn't accommodate a horseshoe. So horseshoe hearts are one at a time. Boom. I'd like to build a propane forge to throw a whole ton of horseshoes in there and just crank them out. But propane is great for production work. If you've got a lot of one thing to do and you need to heat the whole thing up to rock on it. Coal is great for, you know what, I just need to heat this one spot up, and this one little area up, and I've got to leave the rest of this cold, you know. So, hey, what's up? Jared. Veteran. Woo!
You know, and on that, I mean, it's kind of, it depends on what you're doing as well. If I'm sort of following the conversation correctly. But I mean, last night I was working in the forge for the first time in, gosh, a month maybe, and I'm sitting there trying to forge weld in some cast iron powder. We'll just leave it at that. And just using the gas forge, and I failed miserably twice in a row. And then finally I was like, I'm just gonna have to light the coal forge. And I lit the coal forge and got it the first time, and I was like, thank you, and then just shut it down. And we had a bad dust storm rolled in right after that, so I had to give up for the night. But sometimes one works and sometimes the other one does.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Like it's good to have the option for both, because just like Sully just said, there have been days where I've actually had both running. A propane forge and my coal forge running and working simultaneously, working on different projects at the same time, or working the same project, different aspects of it. So absolutely, it's if you only choose one and deny, like, I will never use this other option, you're pigeonholing yourself into not having, it's just like tools. Just like I said earlier, fuels is tools. Different tools for different jobs. Propane would be great for heat treating. I use coal to heat treat my hammers because I feel that I get a better feel for doing it. Adios, Roberts. Robert's leaving? Who's leaving? Robert's not allowed to leave. Yeah, J. Bode, Christ-Centered Ironworks, did do a corn fuel episode. So
You're cutting out again?
Huh?
You were cutting out again.
I was? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So this is something I've noticed with gas. It doesn't seem to stay hot as long as coal. I've noticed that too. I've tried doing hammers out of my coal or out of my propane forge, and it might just be my propane, but it doesn't get the hammer as hot as I can with coal and keep it as hot. It's almost like the core stays cold. So anytime I make a hammer, until I make my super ribbon burner big, as big as a freaking house forge, I will continue.
Yeah, the thing with propane, and I use propane a lot because I do a lot of knives and whatnot. It's good for the thinner stuff because it helps you to dial in the heat where you're not burning your steel or overscalizing it.
Yeah.
But you can't get it as hot. So if you're like doing like big bulky stuff, like when you do your hammers, it's got to sit in there like 4 times longer to get to the same heat.
Yes. Yeah. And I tell you, I just switched. Now, electric blowers, I've used vacuums in the past on the exhaust port of the vacuum, and that was just way too much air. I always burned everything, and that's why I've been a big proponent for hand crank.
You break it up again.
Black Collar.
Yeah,
It may just be I'm breaking up on the Discord, but
Okay.
I don't believe that I'm breaking up through YouTube. But I just switched to a actual. It's the green electric blower that they sell at blacksmithsdepot.com, and it works a treat.
When it
Adios,
comes to,
Ignis.
how you were saying you use like vacuums and whatnot for your blowers?
Mm-hmm.
If you ever get into a situation, like I know there's a lot of people that have like heat issues, so they can't put plastic or anything too close to it. Amazon does sell a blacksmith blower that is basically nothing but a blower that you get in like a heater or whatever, and it's all I believe aluminum body, and it's like $79.
Right. So, whereas I will say from what I've heard of reviews of people actually reviewing that product, the gearing in that is out of plastic, whereas the gearing on the Blacksmiths it's almost identical. It's the green. The green one is the one you're talking about for $79. Vormax or something like that. The
The one that I have is all metal, even on the inside. The green's bronze.
okay,
So it might just be dependent on what seller you get it from.
it could be, that could be, but morning, John Jude, how you doing? Morning, Brian, how you doing? But yeah, as for keeping the distance away or the plastic away,
Maybe you're right.
my vacuum is when I run the vacuum because it's so loud. I take a long hose, and I'm an electrician, so I have like metal pipe and stuff. I'll take and run that around, and I'll have the vacuum, around the corner. $5 super chat in from Roy. Hello, all you beautiful people of the internet. Christmas stuff.
Good
Hey,
morning,
Roy.
Roy.
That's all I'm gonna say is Christmas stuff. Thank you, Roy, very, very much for this $5 super chat. I appreciate it. I have a question for you more informed people. I have a frosty burner I made. If I'm going to use it in a brick forge, does it still need a flare or a collar for the end? I do believe so, but I am not sure because I've never had a frosty burner or used a brick stove or forge. Hey, Alex. I prefer a hand crank. I forge weld a lot, and being able to back down on the blower on the fly to really let a piece soak. Yeah, I've got my motor controller right there next to the right there where I would have it. So it's like I'm just learning I can do the same thing. I can crank it down like that. $5
Yeah,
super chat.
just a little cheap AC to AC variable.
Yeah.
As far as that last question that you
Yeah.
weren't that sure about on the frosty burner, yes, you still need to have that flame cup unless you're doing something like a ribbon burner. You got to have the something that just goes at least slightly larger. Otherwise, you're going to have flame going up into the flue.
Okay, so yeah, that is required. We've got another $5 super chat from Chris Schaefer. Can't let Roy have all the fun. Thank you, Chris. Slappy hands everywhere, and $5 in from James Jones from Black Hand Forge. Thank you, brother.
And Ben Toombs trying to buy his way into the chat.
And Ben Toombs is up in the ante with an orange $10 super chat. Take that, Roy. Oh, God. Here we go. Oh, my show is a battleground. And then slappy hands for that, too. Is it a flare or a collar?
Okay.
As far as the hand crank versus like a variable voltage one, you got to just make sure that whatever blower motor you're using or motor for a blower, because some people have them separate, that the motor can support a variable voltage, because there's some of them, if it has capacitors on the outside, it won't handle the variable voltage usually.
Right. Oh, here we go. If the T-burner has a flare before the fire chamber, it doesn't have to have the flare bolted, it doesn't have to have the flare bolted on. All right. Oh man. All right. So $10 super chat from Roy saying, "Take that, Ben." You guys are killing me. And then Cheryl going, "Take that, Ben," with a $14.99. Well, we know who uses iOS. Thank you very much, you guys. Slappy hands for everybody. Ben's getting it's the Ben Toombs beatdown. Yeah, I don't have a champion blower. I have no, it is a champion. I'm not sure what I have offhand. I can't think right now. You guys throwing super chats in Ben's face. Good morning.
Yeah, I really like the blower that you have. I think a hand crank blower is really good when you're working with like smaller pieces, because you're not going to burn it as easily because you can't walk away and forget it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I know I had a champion 40, a champion number 40. I sold that to a buddy in my guild, and I had sold that to a buddy in my guild who needed one. Kelly, and he he was actually looking for one, and I happened to have my, if y'all remember, my old orange one, and he loves it. Earned from my hatred. Love
Now,
you, Ben.
now, if people like overseas, not in America, are looking for like used forges type stuff, a lot of the time, if you go into like the antique stores, and it may not look like an actual forge, but if you ever see a box that has like a crescent opening in the front with a, like it's a straight line, but it crescents on the top, that's actually a sheet metal forge, and those are really good for a lot of things, and they just run on propane, they run on propylene, pretty much any gas fluid other than, I wouldn't try it with acetylene, but
Yeah. $5 super chat in from Roy. Stir in the pot. So much fun. That's what I need to do. That's what I need to, for my, sorry to derail that, Stress Master. That's another icon that I need to do for my, what are they called? Channel membership things, which I still need to do the video on, is go ahead and make a little pot with a spoon in it, stirring the pot or something. 10 minutes left in church and I'm finally set up. Coffee, laptop, and phone. What's up, Solbert?
Oh, Ben.
A lemon and lime love. $20 super chat from Ben. And flaming slappy hands from Roy. You guys. You guys are killing me. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I am 100. I am 100% all about a hand crank blower. I switched to. I got a good deal on the blower that I have, or the new electric blower, and with me trying to up my production while still using coal, switching over to electric, and getting to know it is really helping me, because when my guild does events, they have an electric blower set up, and I need to be able to tune it and dial it in, and the best way to practice with something is to use it at your home shop. Those who stir the pot must lick the spoon. Stirring the burnt pot pies. And in 1999 from Cheryl. Goal!
And toodaloo, Neil.
Neil's out of here. I'll talk to you later, Neil. Thank you, guys. And I saw somebody say... Christian guy.
and for all you people that have propane forges, most people don't realize it, but you can actually take the burner off of a propane forge, and regular stainless steel, not galvanized bucket, put some kale wool, maybe some satinite to coat the kale wool, and one of those white soft bricks, those high temp soft bricks, and get a crucible, and you can actually start melting your own aluminum, copper, and brass from scrap that you just find around. Because the price of aluminum, copper, and brass has gone up significantly. So when you're like me doing knives, guards and stuff become a lot more expensive if you're not doing something like that.
Yeah. I definitely would benefit from a crucible, a foundry setup, because I have so much scrap copper and aluminum. I probably have a few 100 pounds of scrap aluminum wire from work.
Yeah, and that few 100 pounds would probably equal out to be maybe 20 or 30 pucks.
Adios, J-Bo.
So it becomes a space thing too.
Yeah.
For aluminum, the only thing you need to know about aluminum, like especially if you're doing like aluminum cans, is you need to buy just any generic light salt, because that is the flux for aluminum. Otherwise, you'll lose a lot of aluminum because it'll stay in the dross.
Okay.
As soon as you sprinkle some light salt on there, just before you do your pour, or whatever, or even as you're doing it, to separate the dross from the aluminum. It's almost like magic. It's amazing to watch 3 inches in a 4 kilogram crucible of dross instantly disappear to like less than 4 tablespoons.
Right. um,
That's good to know.
Yeah, that is very good to know. Yeah, I'm so far away from actually setting myself up with a crucible. Wayne Heights with a good idea here, and I believe Sully has a similar solution that I've seen. Wayne Heights, I put a T in my coal forge for air and hand crank depending on the need. What I've seen Sully do is actually take a reducer and put on the side of his hand crank blower a help me out, Sully. It's the word.
Hair dryer.
Hair dryer. Thank you. And so that like he could be cranking and it'll pull through the hair dryer, or he could be like, screw this, and snap the button down and hands free.
Yeah, and honestly, it's really nice for, like what I was talking about the other day is starting a fire with a hand crank is just tedious, So I put me a little bitty wad of mulch down in the bottom, cover it up with just a couple pieces of green coal, throw the coke on top, spray on some charcoal lighter fluid, light it, and I turn the hair dryer on low and walk away. 2 minutes later, it's the coal's going, the coke's going, and and it takes a few minutes, and then I've got a fire ready to go. And then when I go to work it, the initial heat up, I'll use the hair dryer. But then once I get into actually working the piece, I'll turn the dryer off and I'll hand crank it just to force myself not to walk away and burn my steel.
Exactly. Take care, Alex. Yeah, I got a busy morning too.
Yeah, the hand forge, especially for a beginner, is probably more ideal.
Yeah, getting to know how your fuel works is just as important as getting to know how the metal moves.
I've actually probably spent more time on dialing in the air to fuel mixture for propane and whatnot than I have to actually figuring out how the metal moves.
Yeah. I mean, it goes to show like that every aspect, no matter how seemingly minute in this craft, is important. Yeah, like everything from, the type of fuel you use, has different intricacies of how to get to use it efficiently, and little tips and tricks of how to get the most out of it. Brian Brazil, yeah, he's got the electric blower mounted under his forge and it's plumbed into his hand blower. Yeah, exactly.
Now, in the case of like my forge at home, I don't have the luxury of a hand crank blower. I've got an electric blower, quite a large one, I believe. Hubcap. I got from Hubcap, and it's like a 4-inch diameter, what have you. And I've got that plumbed into one of them on-off foot switches, and so I actually have kind of like the one that Hans has in front of his forge. But so I have to stand on the thing, and I've got a 12-pound sledgehammer to hold it down when I need to go do something else. But
right. But $5 super chat in from Ethan Phillips. Thank you. But yeah, that's it. Simply that. Put a brick on your foot pedal. I want to get a foot pedal, a Singer sewing machine foot pedal to control my motor, so I can do that. However, like it said, that is, if you step away, you'd have to put a brick down. But you don't really have control over, you set a brick down, you're on full blast.
Well, the blower that I have is an on off. Anyways, it doesn't, it's not a variable it's not a variable one. It doesn't, this Harbor Freight sells two of them. One of them you push it down and it's on, and then you push it down again and it's off. And then they've got one that is push it down when you hold it down and it's on, and then when you release it's off. That's the one I have. So you have to hold it down for it to be on. And there's no middle of the road. It's either on or off.
Yeah.
A variable one would be
Yeah,
nice, but hey, it's what I got.
Yeah, just add an air gate.
Yeah, like all I did with mine was I bought, I think it was like $11 on Amazon, which was just an AC to AC. It has a level 1 off and then a level 2, but it also goes and has the dial on it where it changes the voltage going in, I think from like 15 volts up to, the 120, but it will also handle a 220.
Right. Sorry, dogger. Right. So point is there are for every type of fuel or type of situation, there are dozens of ways to modify it for what you need it to do. And little cheats and tricks. Let's see. Over here they're talking, this is a ribbon burner, apparently, which is awesome. Tiny itty bitty little ribbon.
And Rob, you're talking about adding an air gate, and that's an excellent idea. I mean, I in a sense, with my little hair dryer on the side of my hand blower, I can do the same thing if I need just a little bit of air. Instead of having the whole end of the hair dryer stuck in the end of the hand crank blower, I can just kind of pull it back and kick it off to the side a little bit and have just a little bit of air going and just enough to keep the fire going and all that. And that works just works great. Especially if I gotta go walk across to the shop and do something right quick, and I don't want because my fire will go completely out if I walk away from it with no air at all for 5-10 minutes. So that works good as far as being able to control it. An air gate. If I actually had a professional setup, I could build a real one, but
Right.
Well, to build a real one, all you need is 2 hose clamps and some flashing, and all you do is you take the flashing and you put it around, say, your hair dryer, hose clamp that there, and hose clamp the other end onto the inlet, and then use whatever you have available, a hacksaw, handsaw, whatever, make a cut in that flashing to put a piece of metal that you can just pull in and out, and that makes a perfect, very, very controllable air gate for you.
Right. And Adam shows up.
Good evening, Adam.
But yeah, there's Black Collar just shared up a video from DF in the shop for I'm assuming that's an air gate.
It's an adjustable box.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like air gates are good for fine tuning. If you're using a hand crank blower, you don't need an air gate. Personally,
It's only
if you're using a dial, a
variable speed.
A motor controller, variable speed motor, you don't need an air gate.
And I'll actually post the one that I have on the Discord later.
All right. And for the record, I will go ahead and paste the Discord link in again for those who aren't in it. If you have any sassafras leaves, chew on the one. I don't have any sassafras leaves. I ain't too worried about my toothaches. I deal with them. Yeah, I'll just take out another tooth. Yeah. Yeah, if I have a toothache, I just take out a tooth. It's not a big deal.
Yamas, wanna make a category later as well in there for smelting?
Possibly, yeah. I believe we have a section for no, we don't.
Yeah, I wasn't able to find one before. But category smelting and like subcategories for each, type of metal kind of thing. Brass,
Yeah.
copper, and aluminum. Because each one, just like when you're trying to find your air and forging or the type of fuel you're using for forging, each type of metal reacts different.
Yeah. John Burnell just posted a picture of another type of air gate directly attached to the bottom of the forge. Hey, Dragon Water. Yep, clove oil.
No, that's what's going on. That's why I'm all dragging. Okay, I'm connected to yours.
There's ice in there that's melting.
Startled the crap out of me, though.
It's already dripping down the wall. That's why I need my AC guys to show up.
Yes.
My AC is off and defrosting and dropping ice everywhere. But
Evening, Wayne.
yep. It's not Eileen, it's Elaine.
I answer to it. I mean, especially since Eileen comes with a fun theme song.
Yeah. Sorry, the AC just distracted
down
me.
the laptop and booting it up.
No, I shut it down all the time.
But
Why?
All I got was telling you like the laptop's like lag if you don't.
Oh yeah, I'm fucking smoking fast now.
And if anybody needs like a computer help or whatever, just send me a direct message on Discord.
Right. I got your back, Selbert. I actually I gotta check my finances after this craft fair stuff. I want to see how much I make, see what I can afford possibly to upgrade my computer. So that I can avoid. Actually, I also think I gotta. Yeah, I figured out which drive it was that was causing blue screens, so I gotta pull that drive.
Now we just got to get you a solid state and more RAM.
Yep. But with that, guys, broken air conditioner. Yeah, you want to talk broken air conditioners? It was August in Key West. No, let me rephrase that. It broke down in July, like mid-July, and didn't get repaired until 2 days before Irma hit. So it didn't get repaired until 2 days before Irma was announced.
Didn't work for long.
July,
Well, that's good. That's good timing right there, Yamez.
Yeah, July to September in Key West, it was 95 degrees at night with zero air conditioning. It was a nightmare. Yeah. So it's like I spent a couple months in the tropics with no air conditioner. Talk about brutal. And after a day at the forge, it's nice to get into the AC. But I was going to say, with all that, I'd really like next week to be focusing on big shop tools. And I'll forget. So y'all remind me.
I'll remind you.
Yeah, we're gonna have to make an Excel spreadsheet of all the different big tools that we can talk about them in organized kind of order.
Oh, this is the Yamez. That's it's the community. There ain't no order and organization not in this stuff.
Yeah, there's no room for double entendre in that one, is there?
Nope. I try, but my entertainment is very organic, as we saw today. Just everybody, remember, next week it's Big Shop Tools. Don't distract me with like lures of bacon and charcoal. Oh, you're a Big Shop Tool. We need if we're gonna talk Big Shop Tools, we gotta get Big Fudge in the house.
I think it's expensive tools in general.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'm gonna let you guys all go. Not that I'm holding you captive or anything, but I'm gonna, throw the chains off the basement doors and let you guys scatter into the breeze and get to work on your Sundays. I have to go work. I've got to get in the shop and get going. Got a lot to do. Can you forge with bacon? I'm sure you can forge with bacon. Somebody said my name. What's up?
I'm already have Stockholm syndrome here.
Stockholm syndrome. But all right, guys. I'm gonna call it. Everybody give a line of applause, some slappy hands for the people in the voice chat for helping me carry the show. This show is for all of you, with all of you, because of all of you. Thank you all, and hearts and health. I appreciate it, you guys, and
guys, stay safe out there.
Yeah.
Yep. See y'all next week.
After party at Sully's house.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, guys. Y'all take care. Good night.
Night.
Or morning, whatever.